While we debate what USAID is doing in Cuba, U.S. citizen Alan Gross remains in solitary confinement in his fifth-year capacity solely because he was carrying out a USAID program which was dumb in its inception. Provides from $15 to $20 million for so-called.
The program was designed in 2007 and 2008 at that time frame. That said, the legislation that crafts the purpose of the program.
No, whose idea was it for this specific program? I've read the legislation. The legislation doesn't say anything about setting up a cockamamie idea in Cuba with Twitter accounts and all on something that the Cubans would be so easy to discover. Whose idea was this specific program to go to Cuba? Who? It's a simple question.
Sir, the program was in place before I arrived.
Do you know whose idea it was? I know it was in place before, and I said that in my opening statement before you arrived, but do you know whose idea it was?
Well, first let me say, and I think this is important, sir, and I greatly respect your point of view, but that AP story had a number of critical inaccuracies.
I've read USAID's thing, and I'll put that in the record.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, I'll put in the record both your response to the AP story and the AP story.
Okay.
Having said that, do you know whose idea it was?
I do not specifically, but I will say this, that working on creating platforms to improve communication in Cuba and in many other parts of the world is a core part of what USAID has done for some time and continues to do. Our administration's policy is to continue to support efforts to allow for open communications. To the extent that the AP story or any other comment creates the impression that this effort or any other goes beyond that for other ulterior purposes, that is simply inaccurate.
Was it a covert program?
Absolutely not. It was conducted.
And was anyone at the U.S. Interest Section of ANA, Department of State of the White House, aware of the facts of this program?
This program has been notified publicly in congressional budget justifications dating back to 2008.
I've read those.
CNs.
When I talked about bureaucraties, if you could figure out that it meant this, you're doing a lot better job than most of us.
That was just the subject of a roundtable discussion with ASEAN defense ministers. They don't always work, and I'll be the first to admit that, but often they do.
This one from the get-go had no possibility of working. That's my problem.